talk about a topic that I think is very near and dear to all of your hearts, which is jobs. The jobs that your cooperatives provide to caregivers. And so Hanan gave us a beautiful intro, thank you. And as she said, I'm Faye Strongman. I'm the director of the home care program at the ICA group. And I'm very pleased to be joined by Emily here from PHI. PHI was spun off from CHCA a long time ago because of an observed need to focus on training and training quality. And we've had a long, beautiful, ongoing partnership with PHI since then. So I'm really pleased to have Emily here representing that part of our sector today. And so we're going to get into the topic of home care job quality. And so I'm going to hand it off first to Emily to introduce herself and PHI.
Thank you, Faye, and hi, everyone. As Hanan said, my name is Emily Diapicolo. I am so thrilled and excited to be here. I have to start with a huge acknowledgement and thank you to Faye and to Katrina for the invitation. It's been a joy to just plan this time together, so I can only imagine what it's actually going to be like to live it. As Faye said, so for those of you who are not familiar with PHI, we are a nonprofit organization. We are based in New York City. However, we work across the country, and we have that sole focus on improving direct care job quality. And we do that through a number of different ways. We are in the field, we have practice strategy interventions, we lead policy advocacy initiatives, and we produce original research and evaluation. So with that, I'm going to hand it back to Faye.
All right, so we're in the room here. We're here to talk about worker-owned home care cooperatives. And because you're worker-owned, it means that caregivers are central to your very mission, your very existence. So when we talk about job quality, that's kind of intrinsic to who you are, is to think about job quality, to think about the quality of the jobs that you provide as being essential to really meeting your mission. And job quality has many components that you're all familiar with. There's the more tangible components, right, like wages, benefits, training, the kind of supervision that your cooperatives provide. And then there's the more intangible aspects like respect, recognition, recognition for the field as a whole, voice, people feeling like they have a say in what happens at the cooperative. So when we talk about job quality today, we're talking about all of those various components, some of which we can easily write about in a job description and some of which are maybe more felt at your cooperatives. And so today we're going to look at a tool, a framework that PHI put together and that we hope can create an opportunity for us to kind of look closer at job quality at your cooperatives and identify places where we're really shining, places where we're excelling, and places where we might want to look closer and say, how could we improve that piece? Where's an opportunity to do more, to give more? And so that's today's focus. I'm really excited to do that together.
All right, so before we dive in, I want to talk a bit more about this framework that Faye just mentioned. So she alluded to that connection between job quality and recruitment and retention. And I want to start by asking, just like, what's an example from your own experience? Like, what was a time when job quality made a difference for recruitment and or retention? What do you think? Don't make me do another Energizer. I will. Yeah. Yes. So the question is, from your own experience, when is a time when you feel like job quality made a difference in recruiting caregivers or retaining them? Yeah. Yeah. Can you say more? Recruitment? And how do you think it makes a difference?
Because the more you recruit, the better it is for your business. And recruit, you make the business go, and also it's not information about your business.
Absolutely. So recruitment, I'm hearing you say recruitment is a part of how you talk about your business, how you get word out there. It's a part about how you market yourself.
I think it makes a direct connection when you're the person that's the story, recruiting the person to join that story.
So you're recruiting someone to join your story, and you're recruiting them through telling that story. Nice. I'm going to come right back to you. So what I'm hearing y'all say is that people are more likely to seek out and stay in high-quality jobs. I see heads nodding. So that means that job quality, it is one of the most powerful marketing tools that we have for recruiting new caregivers and for long-term retention. You want to add to that? I told you I'd come back.
I think it speaks directly, especially with new caregivers coming in that are being trained by our staff as well to have, when they see good quality care being performed and are trained properly from the beginning, I think it shows them who we are in the beginning, from day one out in the field.
So job quality is a part of your identity. Nice. Now, in order for us to explore those dimensions of job quality that Faye started to describe, we need to be working from a shared definition. What do quality jobs look like? What do they feel like? It is really difficult to champion a cause if we can't name it or define it. And so that is why PHI developed this framework, the 5 pillars of direct care job quality, because it helps us to name and quantify those core elements and conditions that measurably improve caregivers' experience and well-being. So this framework is going to help us highlight, like they said, where you all are shining, and you are already shining in many, many ways. As we saw in David's presentation this morning, those retention numbers, the longevity, right? There is so much that you're already doing well, and we want to highlight that, we want to uplift it, and we want to identify where are there opportunities for growth, to stretch. Because that's the thing, I mean, job quality is one of those things, we will never fully arrive. There's no arriving. We can always self-reflect and we can always continue growing and stretching. So before we get into our group activity, I want to give you a sense of what you can expect to find within each of these job quality pillars. So the first one is quality competency-based training. This includes comprehensive entry-level education that fully prepares a caregiver to do their best work on day one. It is experiential, it is interactive, it is adult learner-centered, it is culturally competent, and it does not stop after day one. So there are opportunities for continuous learning. Next, we have fair compensation. And as David mentioned this morning, fair compensation, yes, that includes a living wage, but it goes beyond that. It speaks to paid time off, to access to full-time hours, to benefits, health insurance. Next, we have quality supervision and support. So how many of you have left a job because of a supervisor? You have heard that saying, people leave their supervisor, not their job. Yeah, my hand is up for show, but also because I am also in that boat. I have absolutely left a job due to a supervisor. And that's because that is real. That dynamic is real. And the vitality, the health, the connection between a supervisor and a caregiver, it is one of the strongest indicators whether or not that caregiver is ultimately going to stay. And I don't know about all of you, but I will say that I would work for any of those panelists earlier this morning. Holy moly. Yeah, can we get another round of applause for them? That was 1,000% on display this morning. Next, we have respect and recognition. And when we talk about a culture of respect, and that my emphasis is on the word culture here, because it really is a way of being, this culture of recognition, at its foundation includes praise, gratitude, and appreciation that is freely given, and it is freely received in an equitable way. And I loved, Kathy, I think you said this morning how you always tell people how much you appreciate them and how you got their back and they're part of that team, right? Like that is that culture of respect and recognition. And I also loved the discussion of needing to hold space for grief and for pain at the same time. That was one of those moments where I was like, you know what? These job quality pillars, they're fantastic, and we can always add to them. So I want you to keep that in the back of your minds as we go through this activity. In addition to recognition, you will find in this pillar that it also speaks to the need to empower and center caregivers in organizational operations, policies, procedures, strategic planning, goal setting, all of the ins and outs of how you run a company. And just by the very nature of employee ownership, you are already positioned to thrive here. Lastly, we have real opportunities. So what we mean by real opportunity is creating opportunities for professional growth and advancement within direct care. Because so frequently, the career pathways that we are most familiar with take folks out of direct care. You have to go do something else if you want to grow, if you want to advance. And the thing is, like, one, many home care workers, many caregivers, they love their jobs. They are vocal about how much they love their jobs and they want to stay in their jobs and they want to advance. But those things should not be mutually exclusive. You should be able to do both. And so that's what this pillar is about. It's about providing opportunities for upskilling, to develop a specialized skill set that is connected to a specific condition or set of circumstances. So for example, dementia, behavioral health, de-escalation. And it also includes advanced roles. So these are senior level aides that are positioned to operate at the tippy top of their scope of practice in a way that maximizes their contribution, and it highlights just the immense value and knowledge that they bring to this role. Okay, I'm done talking now. So, yeah.
Before we do that,
Yeah. Yes, please.
So we're gonna soon break up into an activity, but I wanted to add a couple things to what Emily's saying. For one, we know that some of these areas are really hard to excel in. Your organizations are working in a very, very difficult industry where there's not a lot of money to invest in training, there's not a lot of money to improve wages, there's not a lot of money to offer more benefits. So you might look at some of what's on these sheets and say, oh, are we falling short? Are we not delivering good quality jobs? And that's not the message here. The message is to find what you're doing well and see opportunities to invest more given your reality and to bring in partners like PHI, like ICA, like other cooperative developers in the room to figure out how through partnership you can do more. So the other thing I want to say is that as worker-owned businesses, job quality, all of this is your superpower. So what I want you to think about while you're doing this exercise is how to kind of how to charge your superpower. You've already got it. How are you going to take it to the next level? And how can you add on other dimensions to it?
Okay, so at each of your tables, you have been assigned one job quality pillar. And you will see that there are handouts. There are not enough handouts for everyone to have one, but there are enough handouts for you to have one for every few people. You will see on the handout that it describes some of those components of that pillar. English is on one side, Spanish is on the other side. I love that people are already unfolding. Thank you. I'm sorry I folded the sticky note paper. Now you have to unfold it. It's a part of the activity. All right. Okay. So first, I want you all to identify who's going to jot down your responses on that sticky note paper. So you need a recorder, and you need someone who's going to report out.
I need to practice that.
Hey, y'all. All right. We already have people that have pens in their hands. I love it. All right, so you need a recorder, and you need someone who's going to report out. And you're going to take the next 15 minutes to talk through these questions. Hey, everyone, can you hear me? What if I talk really quietly? All right, so here are the questions that you're going to discuss. What is an example of how your cooperative shines in this pillar? What is the impact on members? This could be from your own experience in your own cooperative. This could be based on observations that you've had of other cooperatives or of work that you've done in the home care sector as a whole. So we want you to answer this from your own, whatever place that you are occupying right now today. There are no right or wrong answers here. So, how are you shining? And where do you see opportunities for growth? Where can you stretch? All right? So you're going to have 15 minutes. Before we start that timer, what questions are you sitting with? Faye and I will be rotating around the room, so if you have any questions, just grab one of us. We'll see you in 15.
For the first one, I would say people give like what the other competitors are. They're the top competitors. Yeah, we have like there's a holiday. It's like yeah, it's kind of like sick leave in a way. But it's different. Yeah, Minnesota is different. Access to full-time hours. People are they're flexible with their hours. We work around people's lives, what they're comfortable with. Pretty communicative. We have an app that we communicate through. Yeah, so communication. And then generally as workers, we try to know about sometimes so much of everybody. And then the workers communicate with their or the person's fair compensation is just it's not necessarily pay related. It's like really it's I feel like mileage but it's also about how are you taking care of your workers. Compensated based on compensated for what they just yeah. Does that sound? Because I mean that I feel like that because that's kind of what they're talking about here. Getting medical leave, grief support, and government leave, which is mental health and financial support. You're going to be using mileage pay as a part of that, and then use that much to really like something very hard, like a car that needs gas, stuff like that. You know, it's just under that so we're giving mileage credit, I'm giving like 50 cents an hour, and then the rest of that gets buckled. So that we can compensate the car breaks down. Yeah, great. So we're only 14, so it's 55, and the rest are 80. Yeah. A little emergency. Company kind of thing. Yeah, so in case like something let's say something is sick and that's your car. You need to have your car. That was a good sound effect for that. It's like an nemesis or, you know. Yeah.
Well, when we talk about compensation, I also feel like in order like to get the you don't and that is right. Like some people
I have young kids, so I like to be home, you know, 4 o'clock calling the latest, you know, it's different. So, you know, if I need extra hours, I could if I wanted to more in the evening, or I could start my own meeting, or, you know, I can even work the weekend, you know, if the client was accommodating. And I was a little concerned about that because we're starting to ask dollars more than what the caregivers was, right? already switched to opportunities, make sure you give yourself enough time to do so.
Really, the word opportunities for growth is challenge. Hearing communicate create benefits for the product.
Is it sustainable? Yes, it is.
Planning for ways
Oh,
instead of my no, it's fine. I'm just nervous about it.
she's challenging herself.
I'll be like,
I might pass out so that it's away.
I've been practicing public speaking, but I'm still yeah. Yeah. I'm right behind you. But we said kind of highlight, so it's really about that higher wage.
As cooperating advantage.
I mean, it's great because that's what we're all about, but you know, this is upper people who've been there starting it and stuff before. We used to have to do something too. Because we get a lot of time. We've been waiting about 2 years, that's almost 2 years back in the days. And, you know, I've got a lot of time. It's been sitting in well, they
Maybe
were
waiting for the license.
Yeah. It's still a waiting. Remember, I think you even said that's crazy. I heard you say it out loud. Yeah, we couldn't go there. No, these are the ones that felt putting in place where all the existing ones that are like,
I hear that they're waiting for it to start.
yeah, that's my concern though, is how sustainable they are in the long term.
Trying to put into action is not
Our intention so that we report $20, $21 on the same work that we do. So what we're doing now is we're just not doing it as a co-op. Because we haven't gotten our license.
We're working under another company and so they're getting all of our efforts.
So that's another.
And we let them know we were, no, this is just another company that we found that is not under this. We're working with you guys, but just so you know, we're going to be leaving and we're going to take our clients across. Well, we're making them a lot of money. I can understand that they're not going to want us to leave or they're going to want to care for what they're going to see. Like a divorce, you know, how do you split the assets amicably? Yeah, you brought something, I brought something, we made something together too, you know? But one person wants everything and the other person wants the money. So it's going to say, the opportunity, like, you know, like middle coverage. No, that means like it's happening. Like we're not even getting mileage. That means we're getting based on what like for like health benefits.
Oh, right, for health benefits. So offering health insurance, offering additional benefits.
Yeah, we're thinking about doing something.
As an opportunity.
We were just thinking about like something where we could add on like something like that, you know, where it would be.
All right, everyone. If you can hear me, clap once. If you can hear me, clap twice. All right, so I'm going to rudely interrupt your brainstorming sessions. So what I want you all to do now, we're gonna report back. But as you see, there's some green numbers posted around the room. So if you had pillar number 1, have your person who's going to report back bring your sheet over and put it on the wall by number 1. If you have pillar number 2. Yeah, and if you missed the instruction that someone was going to have to report back, now is the time to pick someone to report back. Alright, so we should have the pillar 1 people over there, the reporters over by number 1. If you're recording on number 2, your sheet should be up there, you stand over there. Alright. So we are going to start with pillar 1, which is the pillar of quality training. Number 1 always goes first. So I'm going to ask each person from a number 1 group to just summarize a few key points from what your group talked about in terms of strengths and opportunities. Are you ready? No? You want someone else?
So one of the strengths were training and conferences for free. We discussed that. I know that at Community Care Cooperative we did a free training for there weren't CNAs, but they was interested in the company, so we gave free training to them so they would feel comfortable in going to people's homes. We also gave free CPR, so they got CPR certified for 2 years. Transparency, we talked about also about being committed, and diversity, because transparency, you have to be able to communicate, amongst each other, and commitment. It does take dedication. It's not just about us, it's about we as a team. And diversity, we have different cultures, so we have to be able to work together. And that's what we talked about. And we have
So at our table, we have 4 different co-ops that did 4 different things. So in our co-op, our strengths were that some of the trainings that are offered are paid for and paid to the caregiver. The trainings are offered in language barriers are taken are in consideration, so there's translation. There's also training in real-time like technology training for caregivers who may not have older caregivers that have been with the co-op for a while and may not have phones when they were coming up, or tablets and things like that, to learn how to use those things to better help their consumers. And the opportunities for that is that it creates advancement for them, as well as specialized training in different areas, and it provides advancement for them in their work and then other members in the co-op to be able to become peer advisors and so forth. And then there's the continuing education, and I know for Home Care Associates, one of the things we like to be sure to do is to deliver the training in an adult-centered learning platform, because everybody learns differently. So we want to make sure that the people are getting the information so that they can better apply it to themselves.
Hi everyone. So yes, we were sitting at this lovely table here of everyone. And some strange things that we talked about is that first we want to even know, what do you feel that your strength is, or what do you feel that you may need to work on, starting there instead of automatically coming off, top saying, oh, you need to do this. So let's first of all see what you feel that you may need to explore in. We also said just listening to what other people's goals are, what do they hope for, what can the co-op provide. Asking, like I said, people what training they need, and their response may customize tailored to what they need to do, and we'll go around that way. Another positive thing is for our co-op, we're able to get training through MCCD. So that's been a blessing for them to walk us through every step of the way on what training we'll need to be successful. And another important point is that the first training when we start training additional staff is we want to speak with them and let them know that we can't train you on compassion. We can't train you on empathy. So before we even get into all the nitty gritty, where you work, this to that, let's get to the most important. Is this something that you can do for longevity? Is there passion really into this? Do you really want to help people? So that will be our starting point for when we do our training services. So.
Okay, so we did fair compensation. One of the things that our co-op does is we try to go above the corporate idea of pay. We maximize the wage. We offer paid time off, sick leave, and mental health days. Having access to full-time hours and consideration for your daily life. Consistent hours, communication with shifts, and then we also do mileage, so we do mileage at 55 cents. And then we bucket the rest for compensation for if your car breaks down, you need an oil change, you need gas. Yeah. Flexible scheduling, minimum hours per client is like 3 hours. So if someone's not able to do a full day, that's okay. And then opportunities for growth is like planning for the wage growth, the financial stability, higher wages and benefits versus co-op advantages, profit sharing. So we want to pay more than we receive in our profit sharing. And then we want to offer health benefits to people. Good health benefits.
Okay, so this was the all Minnesota table, I believe. And we have a couple of newer co-ops at this table, so we had a lot of hopes, a lot of aspirations, but starting with the strengths of things that they're already doing. There's a lot of talk about hours, working towards full-time hours, flexible hours, and also consistency and predictability, like really, as much as possible, knowing what your week or next 2 weeks is going to look like, so you can plan your life and things like that. That's a really important thing. In opportunities, we talked about working towards full-time hours. That would both a strength and an opportunity. Connecting employees to other services, aiming for good quality PTO, really working towards offering competitive wages for their area. Working towards bereavement pay for caregivers. That was a really, really wonderful one that I heard, and I love hearing that. And the opportunity to be an owner, be a board member, which can give a lot of opportunities as well. And then having something to add. I'm not a caregiver, so I just don't want to hey. All right, great.
So we're moving on to pillar 3, quality supervision and support.
So we had Capital Home Care and Heart Song and Ridgeline, 3 of our Washington State sister co-ops. And some of these things are individual to our unique co-ops, but many of these are shared experiences. And a huge one was the way that we build trust and authenticity. It's really key and critical and kind of at the heart of what we're doing. Heart Song has their amazing resource center that you probably all heard about, which is it's personal, it's professional, it's for clients, it's for caregivers, and that we have really strong team cultures. We feel very connected to the people that we work with. I love my people. And connected in our individual communities where we live, and showing appreciation through rewards and lots of positive reinforcement. Ridgeline talked about being really on top of compliance and the importance of that as a superpower, and empowerment, that we give people a voice and we give them the tools to run with their great ideas. Recognition and incentivizing through either gift cards or employee of the month, different types of recognition, and mentorship, shadowing, and ongoing training. Superpowers. There are no mistakes, only learning opportunities was something that Kathy threw in there. And some of the great opportunities are in building the strong reputations that we have. We talked about when caregivers go above and beyond, how that can be an opportunity to have quality supervision, whatever direction that is going in, whether they go above and beyond by doing something really exceptional, or they have something that's really difficult to deal with. We want to be there with them and learn from that together. The warm handoff, that was one of Kathy's, just when we take a caregiver to a new client and introduce them and offer training and set up the expectations of what's going to be involved right at the gate, the very first day. Volunteering and connecting with community as an opportunity, obviously. And drop-ins, supervisory visits, moments to witness exceptionalness. We didn't know if that was really a word, but we're using it. And then, of course, personal and professional growth and creating new positions.
All right. It's difficult to come after that. But our team and our table was really interesting because it was quite diverse, and their approaches also for quality supervision and support were different. But I think that everyone found it really insightful. So one of the worker cooperatives mentioned that they were doing frequently quality assurance house visits around every 3 months, just to check that everything was going well as that they were giving training and a handbook review, given the expectations, the do's and don'ts, as well as the responsibilities for those caregivers. So before day one, our caregivers are ready to start and understanding what are their expectations, of course. On the other hand, another of our worker cooperatives, I really like this idea of building a care team, and that is dependent of the client. For example, those 24-hour clients that they need, so they will have multiple caregivers. And when that is the case, they get together on a monthly basis. They have that tech support, so it's more on them, empowering them and giving those support from each other. Obviously, they also bring out feedback from the client to admin if there's any sort of issues, but also having that clear feedback, like if it's from a facility, family facility, all that's going on to the admin. Another worker cooperative was mentioning a great opportunity, and that was from an issue of having retention on leadership and a lot of changes on leadership. So they would see a great opportunity on having more stability, because they say absolutely it's great support when you're saying that you're being valued, that you're important, but that's not enough instead of actually having that leadership and knowing where to go for support.
We are going to hear from Pillar 4, respect and recognition, and I am having a moment of recognition of the time. So unfortunately, I'm going to ask groups 4 and 5 to keep it a little bit more brief, just give us a highlight strength and a highlight opportunity. But we'll keep these sheets up so people can visit them, and we're also going to post all of this on the Elevate community later, so none of these learnings will get lost, but we're just going to hear briefer points for now.
Okay. Ours was for the Houston Cooperative Community Healthcare Cooperative. And one of the things we came up with was group consent for all contracts. So that's including all of our workers, so that's showing respect to everybody's opinion for the job that we take on. Keep it quick, another member input on day-to-day operations. and then, more regular performance reviews, and I think.
Keeping it short, some of the things we do look really important to have an open door so that everybody feels comfortable coming and expressing themselves and know that they're going to be heard and not judged in any way. We had talked about establishing a mentorship where new team members will connect with a current team member to be mentored through the process of coming on board. Things that, and then they do a quarterly employee of the month. It'd be amazing. That's Circle of Life. And then a vision board. They talk about that with everybody doing a vision board. You need to do a vision board. That would be awesome. And then leadership development, training to give people the opportunity to grow as well. To grow in the perspective and grow.
We were with Cooperative Home Care Associates as well as Courage Home Care. And for our strengths, we talked about investment in member owners in regards to empowering them to join conferences for coalitions and just local and like joining grassroots organizations and recognizing their work far beyond the day-to-day, right, and like advocating for that. Equitable benefits at an affordable rate for like dental, vision, and healthcare. We also talked about having appreciation days and worker owner actually centered like days and fairs that recognize their work. And we talked about also helping member owners through needs that go far beyond their duties, right? Like during the pandemic, there was a lot of like caregivers that may have lost their work, and that's helping through maybe like supporting paying for their phone bills or electric bills, and finding grants that way and recognizing their needs is also a way you recognize their work, right? Yes. And for our opportunities, we talked about compensation. A lot of times when our member owners do advocacy work through coalition work or policy or legislative building, they're taking days off from their work and that's not necessarily compensated. So what's a way that we can also empower them to do these like actions, but also pay them for that work, right? Like we're all about equity and we need to kind of like speak true to that as well. And we also named that we need to hold more spaces for grief. Like when we're taking care of someone that passes away, oftentimes the caregivers just get right back to work and there's no space for them to be supported and to kind of grieve on their own as well. And training, training, training.
And now we are moving on to pillar number 5 for real opportunities within the cooperative. And so at our table we had 4 different cooperatives represented. 2 are still in the process of incorporating. The Republican River Valley Home Care Cooperative in Nebraska, and ABQ Assisted Care in Comunidad in New Mexico. Then we have Heart is Home Cooperative, which is about 7 years old in New Mexico. And then I talked about Cooperative Care, which is 23 years old. And so some of the strengths is that there's some mentoring going on, and mentoring at various levels, amongst board members, amongst caregivers, amongst the admin staff, and amongst member owners, becoming member owners. And there's quite a bit of dedication to the co-op, especially with the co-ops that are being incorporated. There are a lot of unpaid volunteer hours by caregivers and by admin staff going on. We hope that that gets recognized and compensated at some point, but there's a lot of dedication to what this dream is about. And opportunities, getting the licensing in place so that cooperatives can actually launch, and being able to work yourselves out of a job, especially admin staff, not having to necessarily step into caregiver roles, but caregivers stepping into admin staff, working yourself out of roles. So, there you go.
Home Care out of Port Townsend, Washington. Our strengths are marketing and recruiting. We have open houses and job fairs. Operational bookkeeping and office tasks are done by the caregivers as well. We have peer training. The client specifies for new caregivers. We train each other. Client services, updated care plans, being a part of a cohesive care team. Our teams are very close and functional. not creating division among members' pay and opportunity. That was something that was different from what was on the paper. Our opportunities, creating continuing education that goes beyond state mandates, and care management responsibility within teams.
Good afternoon, good afternoon. We have two cooperatives at our table here. We have Creative Care Village and Twin Cities Impact. Yes, yes. So for our strengths, we have, one that I liked the most was we were able to find specialized free trainings, and most of them are online. So you don't have to like pay for those and stuff like that, you know. And an opportunity that we have, I would say, would be like the networking opportunities, being able to meet other cooperatives and learn what they've gone through, what worked for them, what didn't work for them, you know. So getting that feel of like boots on the ground, mingling with others from other states, you know. Some of us have the same ideas, but we all share the same values. So, you know, also service expansion, expanding our borders, you know. We left our state to come here to meet others, so we could share stuff. So that's one thing that I thought was really good. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. So we were gonna, ask you, what did you hear? What are your key takeaways? What are your aha moments? But we ran out of time because you all had so many amazing things to say. So instead, we're gonna wrap up. But while you were talking, Emily was passing out this tool. Still passing it out. I have it in English and Spanish, so if you need a Spanish version, make sure to see us if you didn't get one. And this tool is a takeaway for you to bring back to your members, to bring back to your boards, to bring back to your office staff, to keep doing some of this thinking. So it shows all the pillars, and it gives you an opportunity to evaluate, how are we doing on this measure? Are we right at the beginning? Have we not even started thinking about it? Are we all the way over on the other side? Are we really excellent at this? And so, we've done a lot of talking about strategic planning, about goal setting during this conference. So this is one more tool that you can bring to those reflection processes to make sure that job quality is a really core component of your goal setting, your planning, and checking back to make sure you're making progress in those areas. So I want to deeply thank you for your deep participation during this session. It means a lot to us, and thank you, Emily, for putting together this tool. And yeah, we're going to keep it moving. Thank you, everyone.